Have you ever stopped to think about where the force of thunder comes from? The courage that leads us to face the impossible? Or even the mysteries hidden in the depths of the cosmos? What if I told you that these answers are in humanity's most epic tales, shaped by warriors, gods, and legendary creatures? Well, that's what Norse mythology has to offer. In this video, you'll dive headfirst into the stories of powerful gods like Odin, Thor, and Loki. Let's explore the secrets of Asgard, unravel the mysteries of Ragnarok, and understand how these legends shape the world we know today. But before we start, I'll ask you something. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. This is not just to help us out, but to make sure you don't miss out on the next amazing videos about mythologies, epic stories, and trivia that can change the way you see the world. Get ready, because this journey will stir your imagination and take you to a world where nothing is impossible. And trust me, what you'll discover here could change the way you view life, the universe, and destiny. Let's go. Norse mythology begins with an enigma as vast as the cosmos itself. How did it all come about? According to the ancient sagas, before any god, creature, or world, there was only the infinite void, called Ginnungagap. On one side there was Niflheim, a freezing and dark land where cold reigned supreme. On the other, Muspelheim, the kingdom of fire, shining brightly under the flames of chaos. It was the tension between these two extremes that would give rise to creation. In the heart of Ginnungagap, the ice of Niflheim began to mix with the scorching heat of Muspelheim. When the ice melted under the heat, the first drops of life appeared. From these drops, Ymir, the primordial giant, was born. He was the first form of existence, and from his body originated other gigantic creatures. However, Ymir was not alone. Another figure emerged in this chaotic scenario. Eudumla, the primitive cow, who fed Ymir with her milk. As Ymir grew older, Audumla licked the ice and revealed the form of a new being, Buri, the first of the gods. Buri fathered a son named Bor, who married Besla, daughter of giants. From this union were born three figures who would change the destiny of the cosmos: Odin, Vili, and Ve. These brothers decided to end the reign of the giants and, in an act of courage, killed Ymir. Ymir's body was used to shape the world. His flesh formed the earth, his blood became the oceans, his bones became mountains, and his skull gave rise to heaven. Even his hair was used to create the trees. From the rest of his body, the first men emerged, Ask and Embla, who would be the ancestors of humanity. The creation of the world in Norse mythology is marked by the balance between destruction and construction. Ymir's sacrifice was not only an act of violence, but the basis for the emergence of all life. The gods shaped the cosmos with a sense of order, creating the 9 worlds interconnected by the grandiose Yggdrasil tree. This view of the universe, where chaos and order coexist, reflects a deep understanding of reality. In Norse mythology, creation is not a perfect act. It is an ongoing process, fraught with challenges and changes. And it's this idea that makes these stories so fascinating to this day. Among all the gods of Norse mythology, Odin stands out as the most enigmatic and complex. Known as the All-Father, he was not only the leader of the Aesir, but also a figure of immense wisdom and sacrifice. Odin didn't just rule with force. He understood that true power came from knowledge. Odin dedicated his life to seeking wisdom, and this pursuit led him to extreme acts. One of the most striking stories is the moment when he sacrificed one of his eyes to drink from the well of Mimir, the source of infinite wisdom. This well was guarded by Mimir, a being of great intelligence, who demanded a high price in exchange for his knowledge. Odin did not hesitate. He surrendered his left eye, showing that for him, wisdom was worth more than sight itself. Another fascinating story is Odin's sacrifice on the Yggdrasil tree. To obtain the secret of the runes, magical symbols that contained the power to shape reality, Odin hung himself from the tree for 9 days and 9 nights, without eating or drinking. During this time, he faced unimaginable pain and nearly died. But in the end, he was rewarded with the knowledge of the runes, which he shared with men and the gods. Odin was also a god of war, but not in the traditional sense. He inspired courage on the battlefields and chose the bravest to join him in Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain Warriors. In Valhalla, warriors trained for Ragnarok, the final battle where the fate of all worlds would be decided. Despite his wisdom, Odin was a figure surrounded by mystery and ambiguity. He was often depicted as a traveler, disguising himself to observe mortals and learn from them. His actions were not always noble, and he was willing to use deception and manipulation to achieve his goals. Odin also had a complex relationship with his children. Thor, the god of thunder, was his best-known heir, but others, such as Balder and Loki, played equally crucial roles in the mythology. Odin's relationship with Loki, in particular, is full of tensions and conflicts, reflecting the duality of Odin himself, a god of order, but also of mystery and chaos. Odin's story is, above all, a lesson in the relentless pursuit of knowledge and power. He teaches us that wisdom does not come without sacrifice, and that the greatest leaders are those who are willing to pay the price for what they believe in. If there is a name in Norse mythology that echoes like thunder through the ages, it is Thor. Son of Odin and the goddess Jord, Thor was the protector of men and gods. His enormous power and his connection with thunder made him a central figure in all stories. But Thor was more than a god of strength. He represented courage, justice, in the fight against chaos. Thor wielded the legendary hammer Mjolnir, a weapon forged by the dwarves that possessed unparalleled powers. With it, Thor could control storms, destroy enemies, and even bless ceremonies. But there was one condition. Only Thor had enough strength to handle it. The Mjolnir was so powerful that even its hilt was protected by charms, to ensure that it never fell into the wrong hands. Among the most famous stories involving Thor is his battle with the gigantic serpent Jormungandr, which inhabited the seas of the world. The two were mortal enemies, and their confrontation at Ragnarok would be one of the most cataclysmic events in mythology. Another striking legend is Thor's trip to the castle of Utgard Loki, where he faced seemingly impossible challenges that tested his strength and intelligence. Despite being an unbeatable warrior, Thor was also a figure deeply connected to the common people. He protected the peasants and sailors, ensuring that the chaos of the giants and evil forces did not destroy their lives. He was the god who was always present, whether on battlefields or in storms that brought rain to crops. Thor also had a human side that made him even more fascinating. He was known for his impulsiveness and quick temper, but also for his unwavering loyalty to friends and family. These characteristics made him a close god, someone with whom mortals could identify. Throughout the ages, Thor has become a symbol of resistance against adversity. Their stories teach us that even in the face of the greatest challenges, willpower and courage can guide us. It is no wonder that he remains one of the most remembered figures in Norse mythology, inspiring generations with his immortal thunder. If Thor is the symbol of strength and heroism, Loki is the embodiment of chaos and cunning. Loki, the god of deception, was an ambiguous figure whose role in the stories was as unpredictable as his own nature. He was the son of giants, but he lived among the gods in Asgard. This duality made him a bridge between worlds, but also an agent of conflicts. Loki was known for his ability to manipulate and deceive. He was a master at turning situations in his favor, even if it meant betraying those around him. One of the most iconic stories is how he tricked the dwarves into creating Mjolnir for Thor, a plan that started as a joke, but ended up shaping the fate of all the gods. Despite his trickery, Loki wasn't just a villain. He played a crucial role in the dynamics of the gods, often challenging norms and bringing new perspectives. In many stories, his actions, although disastrous at first glance, ended up resulting in great achievements or important changes. Loki was also the father of some of the most fearsome creatures in Norse mythology. Among his sons are Fenrir, the dire wolf destined to kill Odin at Ragnarok, and Jormungandr, the serpent who would face Thor in the final battle. He also gave birth to Hel, the guardian of the world of the dead, who ruled over souls that had not died in battle. One of Loki's most significant moments was his betrayal of the gods during Ragnarok. Although he had already caused trouble in the past, it was in this event that he revealed his true nature. There, Loki became the symbol of destruction and ruin, leading the giants against the gods in a battle that would result in the end of Asgard. Loki's story teaches us about the complexity of human and divine nature. It is a reminder that not everything is black and white. Sometimes chaos is necessary for order to arise. His figure is so fascinating because it reflects our own contradictions, the struggle between doing right and giving in to temptations. Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods, is one of the most iconic and fascinating places in Norse mythology. Situated on one of the branches of the great Yggdrasil tree, Asgard was surrounded by impenetrable walls and protected by its divine inhabitants. This realm was not only a heavenly abode, but also the center of power, strategy, and intrigue that shaped the fate of the Nine Worlds. One of the most impressive buildings in Asgard was Odin's palace, called Valaskjalf, where the Hlidskjalf throne once stood. From there, Odin could observe all the happenings in the cosmos. Next to Valaskjalf stood the imposing Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain Warriors. This place was reserved for those who had fallen bravely in battle, and there they trained tirelessly for Ragnarok. But Asgard wasn't just about power and grandeur. She also harbored deep secrets. One of these mysteries is the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that connected Asgard to the world of mortals, Midgard. This magical bridge was guarded by Heimdall, the watchful god, whose senses were so heightened that he could hear the grass growing. The Bifrost symbolized the link between the divine and the human, but it was also a dangerous access route, often used by enemies of the gods. In addition to its magnificent structures, Asgard was inhabited by gods and goddesses who played crucial roles in mythology. Frigg, Odin's wife, was the goddess of wisdom and protector of the family. Balder, his son, was known for his beauty and kindness, but his tragic fate brought great sorrow to Asgard. Other notable inhabitants included Tyr, the god of war, and Idun, guardian of the golden apples that bestowed eternal youth upon the gods. However, Asgard was also the scene of internal tensions and betrayals. Loki, with his unpredictable nature, often caused trouble, such as the day he tricked the builders of the Wall of Asgard. He manipulated events so that the gods would not have to pay for the work, but this had catastrophic consequences in the future. Asgard was not a perfect paradise. It was a reflection of the complexities and imperfections of the gods themselves. For all its power, its inhabitants were constantly battling external forces and their own internal failures. This duality made Asgard a living place, full of stories, mysteries, and lessons that echo to this day. In Norse mythology, the universe was not a single place, but rather divided into 9 distinct worlds, each with its own culture, inhabitants, and characteristics. These worlds were interconnected by the Yggdrasil tree, a symbol of unity and balance in the cosmos. Exploring the 9 worlds is like immersing yourself in 9 different universes, each with its own mysteries and challenges. The first and most well-known of the worlds is Midgard, the world of humans. Situated at the center of the cosmos, Midgard is surrounded by a vast ocean inhabited by Jormungandr, the giant serpent. Midgard represents the daily struggle of mortals against the forces of chaos, but also their connection to the gods through heroes and legends. Above Midgard lies Asgard, the realm of the Aesir gods. As already mentioned, Asgard is home to the powerful gods who rule the universe, protecting the 9 worlds from outside threats. Another celestial realm is Vanaheim, home of the Vanir, gods associated with fertility, prosperity, and magic. Despite their initial rivalry with the Aesir, the 2 groups eventually formed an alliance after a devastating war. Going down the tree, we find Jotunheim, the world of giants. This realm is marked by wild and inhospitable landscapes, inhabited by beings that represent chaos and destruction. Despite often being enemies of the gods, giants play a vital role in mythology, challenging the limits imposed by divine order. Other worlds include Alfheim, the home of the light elves, ethereal beings associated with beauty and magic. Svartalfheim, on the other hand, is the realm of the dark elves or dwarves, masters of the forge who have created legendary artifacts such as Thor's hammer and Odin's ring. Niflheim, the kingdom of eternal ice, and Muspelheim, the kingdom of fire, are the most extreme worlds. They represent the primordial forces of the universe and are instrumental in creation and destruction. Helheim, the world of the dead, is ruled by Hel, Loki's daughter. This dark place is meant for souls who have not died in battle, but it is not necessarily a place of eternal punishment. To explore the nine worlds is to understand the complexity of Norse mythology. Each world has a unique role in the balance of the cosmos, showing that diversity and interaction between opposing forces are essential for existence. At the center of the Norse universe is Yggdrasil, the immense tree of life. Majestic and sacred, it connects all the nine worlds and is the ultimate symbol of interconnectedness and balance. With deep roots and branches that stretch to the heavens, Yggdrasil is more than a tree. It is the backbone of the cosmos, sustaining life, destiny, and universal order. The roots of Yggdrasil dip into three important locations. One of them is in Asgard, where the Well of Urd is located, guarded by the Norns, the three ladies of destiny. They weave the threads of life for all beings, deciding birth, life, and death. The second root is in Jotunheim, where it touches the Well of Mimir, a source of wisdom and knowledge. Finally, the third root reaches Niflheim, the realm of ice and death, where the serpent Nidhogg constantly gnaws at its foundations. The branches of Yggdrasil are home to several creatures, each with its own role in cosmic balance. Among them, the eagle that rests at the top of the tree, representing vigilance, stands out. However, she maintains a constant rivalry with Nidhogg, the serpent who wishes to destroy Yggdrasil. The Ratatosk squirrel runs tirelessly between the eagle and the serpent, carrying insult-laden messages between the two, symbolizing communication and conflict. Yggdrasil is not just a symbol of life and connection. She is also vulnerable. Its roots are constantly threatened by Nidhogg and other beings, and the gods are concerned with preserving it. During Ragnarok, Yggdrasil will also suffer, but it will not be destroyed completely. After the apocalypse, the tree will serve as a refuge for the survivors, allowing life to begin again. The symbolism of Yggdrasil goes beyond legends. It represents the cycle of life, where everything is interconnected and every action has consequences. In the Norse view, Yggdrasil is a reminder that life is fragile and that one must fight to maintain the balance between opposing forces. Few stories are as impactful as Ragnarok, the apocalypse in Norse mythology. More than the end of everything, Ragnarok is an inevitable transformation, a battle that will destroy gods, worlds, and lives, but which will also make room for a new beginning. Ragnarok begins with a series of events that herald chaos. First, the Fimbulvetr, a long and terrible winter, will cover the world for 3 years in a row, plunging everything into cold and darkness. During this time, the bonds between mortals and gods weaken, and order begins to crumble. Then the wolf Fenrir will break his chains, and Jörmungandr, the sea serpent, will rise from the ocean, spreading poison through the air and water. The final battle will take place on the field of Vigrid, where the gods will face the giants and the forces of chaos. Odin will lead the Aesir, but he will meet his fate in the jaws of Fenrir. Thor, the powerful god of thunder, will fight bravely against Jörmungandr and manage to kill her, but will succumb to the serpent's venom soon after. Loki, who turns against the gods, will face Heimdall, and both will fall into a deadly confrontation. In addition to the individual fights, the entire world will be engulfed in the flames of Surt, the fire giant. The earth will shake, the sky will split, and the oceans will swallow everything. But in the midst of the destruction, hope will arise. Some gods, such as Balder, will return, and 2 humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, will hide within Yggdrasil, ready to repopulate the world. Ragnarok is not only seen as a tragedy, but as part of an inevitable cycle. It represents the destruction necessary for something new and better to emerge. In the Nordic view, the end is not definitive. It is a new beginning, a chance to correct the mistakes of the past and build a more balanced future. The story of Ragnarok reminds us of the fragility of life and the need to face our challenges with courage, even when the end seems inevitable. It's a timeless lesson in renewal and hope in the face of chaos. Among the most fascinating figures in Norse mythology are the Valkyries, the celestial warriors tasked with deciding who would live and who would die on the battlefields. More than just emissaries of death, they were figures of power and mystery who played a crucial role in the fate of warriors and in the preparation for Ragnarok. The Valkyries were often described as beautiful but imposing, in gleaming armor and mounted on winged horses. Not only did they choose the dead, but they also guided their souls to Valhalla, the grandiose hall of the dead in Asgard. Valhalla was ruled by Odin and reserved for the bravest warriors who fell in battle. These warriors, known as Einherjar, trained daily for the final battle of Ragnarok, where they would fight alongside the gods. Valhalla was not only a training ground, but also a place of celebration. After a day of mock fights, the Einherjar gathered in endless feasts, where they ate the flesh of the boar Sehrimnir, which was reborn every day, and drank mead served by Valkyries. This life of eternal glory was the desired destiny for many Norse warriors, who saw death in combat as the highest possible honor. However, the role of the Valkyries went beyond simple messengers. In many stories, they were seen as figures of great wisdom and magical power. Some Valkyries fell in love with mortals, such as Brunhilde, whose tragic love story inspired countless legends and literary works. Others, like Sigurdrifa, were seen as advisors, helping heroes make important decisions. The Valkyries' relationship with Odin was also complex. They served the All-Father, but their loyalty was not always unquestioned. Some stories suggest that the Valkyries could act in their own best interests, choosing which warriors would live or die based on personal criteria. The image of the Valkyries in Valhalla is one of the most enduring in Norse mythology. They represent honor, courage, and preparation for the final challenges. Their stories continue to inspire, reminding us of the importance of fighting for what we believe in, even in the face of death. Norse mythology is filled with fantastical creatures, each representing aspects of chaos, order, or nature. These creatures were not mere antagonists, but key pieces in the stories of the gods and heroes, challenging them and shaping their destinies. One of the most feared is Fenrir, the direwolf, son of Loki. Fenrir is a symbol of destruction and inevitability. Despite being chained by the gods in Asgard, he will break free during Ragnarok, killing Odin and bringing absolute chaos. Fenrir represents the fear of the uncontrollable, a brute force that not even the gods can contain forever. Another imposing creature is Jormungandr, the sea serpent that circles Midgard. It is so large that it can bite its own tail, forming a ring around the world. Jormungandr's venom is lethal, and she will play a crucial role in Ragnarok, facing Thor in an epic duel that will end in the deaths of both. Norse mythology also features dragons, such as Nidhogg, who incessantly gnaw at Yggdrasil's roots. Nidhogg is seen as a destructive force, constantly challenging the balance of the cosmos. Another notable dragon is Fafnir, originally a dwarf who, consumed by greed, transformed into a ferocious dragon. Fafnir's story is a lesson in the dangers of unbridled ambition, but not all creatures are evil. Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged horse, is an example of loyalty and strength. Raised in an unusual way, as the son of Loki, Sleipnir is the fastest and most powerful horse, capable of traveling between the nine worlds with ease. It symbolizes the connection between the divine and the earthly, serving as a means of transportation for Odin on his journeys. Other creatures include the elves of Alfheim, who are beings of light and magic, and the dwarves of Svartalfheim, masters of the forge who have created legendary artifacts. There are also the Norns, who, although not creatures in the traditional sense, play an essential role in the destiny of all living beings. The legendary creatures of Norse mythology are more than adversaries or allies. They are representations of the forces that shape the world: chaos, order, greed, loyalty, and transformation. His stories enrich the Norse universe, bringing depth and complexity to the sagas of the gods and heroes. Magic occupies a central place in Norse mythology, and no symbol is more powerful or emblematic of this mysticism than runes. Runes were not only an alphabet, but also magical tools loaded with meaning and power. They were used to predict the future, protect against enemies, invoke divine forces, and even alter fate. The origin of the runes is deeply linked to Odin. According to mythology, Odin sacrificed himself to unravel his secrets. He hung from the Yggdrasil tree for 9 days and 9 nights, without food or water, suffering unimaginable pain. At the end of this sacrifice, Odin was rewarded with the knowledge of the runes, which he shared with the gods and men. This act shows that wisdom does not come without a cost, and that true power lies in the deep understanding of things. The runes were engraved on wood, stone, or metal. In magical practice, runes were often used in divination rituals. The Norse believed that runes could reveal the designs of the gods and help make important decisions. An example of this was the use of runes by the Norns, the goddesses of fate, who wove the threads of life based on their meanings. Runic magic also had a dangerous side. Manipulating the runes without knowledge or respect could have disastrous consequences. This power required accountability, as the forces summoned by the runes were beyond human control. To this day, runes remain a symbol of mystery and power. Its importance goes beyond mythology, influencing modern systems of spirituality and esoteric studies. They remind us that true magic lies in knowing and connecting with the world around us. Although Norse mythology is dominated by gods and legendary creatures, mortal heroes play an essential role. They are the most human examples of these stories, showing courage, determination, and the constant fight against adversity. Their epic journeys echo through the centuries, inspiring generations with their deeds. Among the most notable heroes is Sigurd, known for his courage and skill in battle. Sigurd is the protagonist of one of the most famous stories, the Saga of the Volsungs, where he faces the dragon Fafnir. Using the magic sword Gram, Sigurd defeats Fafnir and takes possession of his treasure, including the legendary Andvari ring, which carries a curse of doom. Despite his bravery, Sigurd is tragically betrayed, showing that even the greatest heroes are not immune to the trappings of fate. Another important hero is Beowulf, whose story is often associated with Norse traditions. Beowulf faced monsters such as Grendel and his terrible dragon, demonstrating not only physical strength, but also wisdom and leadership. He was more than a warrior. He was a symbol of honor and sacrifice, willing to give his life to protect his people. Mortal heroes often faced challenges that went beyond brute force. They needed to prove their intelligence, loyalty, and character. One example of this is Hrolf Kraki, a legendary king whose wisdom and compassion made him a beloved figure. He ruled justly and was remembered for his kindness as much as his skills as a warrior. Despite their human limitations, these heroes were often blessed by the gods. Sigurd, for example, was guided by Odin on his journey, while Beowulf was seen as protected by divine powers. This connection between mortals and gods showed that human bravery was valued and celebrated even by the most powerful beings. Mortal heroes represent the bridge between the divine and the earthly. Their stories are proof that even without divine powers, human beings can achieve great things. They teach us that courage, intelligence, and willpower are the greatest weapons against any adversity. Although the legends of Norse mythology emerged centuries ago, their influence remains alive to this day, shaping cultures, arts, literature, and even our daily lives. The impact of these epic stories has transcended borders and continues to inspire works in a variety of areas, from pop culture to philosophical and religious concepts. In literature, Norse mythology was an essential source for authors such as J.R.R. Tolkien, creator of The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien based many elements of his work on Norse myths, such as the creation of dwarves, the fantastic realms, and even the Elvish language, inspired by Old Norse. In addition, C.S. Lewis, author of the Chronicles of Narnia, also explored Norse themes in his narratives. In film and TV, the influence is undeniable. Marvel has brought characters like Thor and Loki to the center of pop culture, reinterpreting their stories for a modern audience. Series like Vikings and The Last Kingdom have also helped popularize elements of Norse culture and mythology, bringing these legends to life with new details and perspectives. In music, metal bands such as Amon Amarth and Wardruna incorporate Norse themes into their songs, celebrating the stories of gods, battles, and legendary worlds. These artists not only perpetuate the legends, but also help keep the connection to Nordic cultural roots alive. In addition to art, Norse mythology has also impacted philosophy and modern thought. The concept of Ragnarok, for example, is often used as a metaphor for cycles of destruction and rebirth, both in personal and social contexts. The figure of Odin, with his incessant search for wisdom, is seen as an archetype of the wise and sacrificial leader. Even in everyday life, traces of mythology can be found in the names of days of the week. For example, Thursday in English is derived from Thor's Day, while Wednesday is a reference to Odin, Woden's Day. Video games have also been deeply exploring the Nordic universe. Games like God of War and Assassin's Creed, Valhalla have delved into the stories of the gods and heroes, allowing players to experience the mythology interactively. More than a reliquary of the past, Norse mythology remains relevant because its stories speak directly to the universal issues of humanity: courage, sacrifice, betrayal, and rebirth. It connects us to our roots and challenges us to reflect on our own journey. In the end, Norse mythology is not just a collection of ancient tales. It is a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, courage and determination can lead us to new beginnings. And that's why, centuries later, their stories still find a place in the hearts and minds of people around the world.